All right, let's talk about evaluating linear expressions. The premise of a linear expression or evaluating the expression is just to find out what the value of the expression would be if you replaced the variable with whatever value they gave you, and then follow the order of operations. The only thing that you need to be aware of is that if you don't see an operation between a number and a variable, that's telling you that it's multiplication. So just keep that in mind as we go through these examples. All right, so let's look at a few examples. So if you're supposed to evaluate the expression c plus 1, where c is equal to 2, all you have to do is replace the letter c with the number 2. So if c plus 1 is going to now be 2 plus 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3. And so that's evaluating the expression if c is 2. If r is 4, then 0 plus r would be 0 plus 4, which is just 4. If b is 3, then 8 minus b would just be 8 minus 3, which is 5. If h is 18, then h minus 13 would be 18 minus 13, which again is 5. So if h is 9 in the expression 2h, then as we mentioned earlier, then all you need to know is that 2h really just means 2 times h. So this really just means 2 times 9, and 2 times 9 is 18. If b equals 0, 5b equals 5 times 0, and 5 times 0 equals 0. If x equals 1, 4x equals 4 times 1, which is 4. If g equals 0, then negative 17g would be negative 17 times 0, which is still 0. If c equals 3, negative 22, c would be negative 22 times 3, which is negative 66. If x is 4, negative 0.4 times x would be negative 0.4 times 4, which is going to be negative 1.6. And if z equals negative 1.6, then negative 1.2 z will be negative 1.2 times negative 1.6. And using your calculator, you'll see that that's very simply positive 1.92. Then you have a slightly higher level of complexity, but all of this is just following the order of operations. So if f equals 0, it's still going to be 11 times 0 plus 5. Following the order of operations, you multiply 11 times 0 first, and 11 times 0 is 0 plus 5. And you follow order of operations, 0 plus 5 is 5. So 11f plus 5, if f equals 0, will just be 5. If t equals 2 in the expression 7 plus 3t, that will just be 7 plus 3 times 2. And since 3 times 2 is 6, that would be 7 plus 6, and 7 plus 6 is 13. If f equals 3, that would be 18 minus 6 times 3. And 6 times 3 is 18, and a negative times a positive is a negative. This is we're going to consider this a negative 6 right here. And then that would be 18 minus 18. 18 minus 18 is going to be 0. If z equals 2, that would be 9 times 2 minus 3. 9 times 2 is 18, which would be 18 minus 3. 18 minus 3 is 15. And so that's it. If p equals 0, that would be negative 18 plus 83 times 0. 83 times 0 is 0, so that's negative 18 plus 0, and that would just be negative 18. If b equals negative 2, then that would be 70 minus 5 times negative 2. And so now, again, we're going to multiply first. So we're going to be multiplying a negative 5 by a negative 2, which is a positive 10. So that would be 70 plus 10 because 10 is positive. So 70 plus 10 is 80. If h equals negative 1.3, that would be negative 8 times negative 1.3 minus 7. And so negative 8 times negative 1.3 is 10.4. And negative times a negative is a positive, so that's 10.4 minus 7. 10.4 minus 7 is 3.4. And this is all just calculator work at this point. So if W equals -5, that would be 7.1 plus -5. I put the -5 in parentheses in this case. So 7.1 plus -1.5. I'm sorry, plus -5. And that's just going to be positive 2.1, which you obviously could have just done 7.1 minus 5. So if x was -4, in the expression 15 plus 3.8x, that would be 15 plus 3.8 times -4. Again, multiplying positive 3.8 by -4 would just be 15 plus -15.2, which is really just minus 15.2. Because again, a positive signs a negative, should be a negative result. That's why that's going to be a negative. And so then that's just 15 minus 15.2, which is 0.2. And then finally, if v equals 7, that will be -3 minus 7. And so -3 minus 7 is just -10. And so that's all you're doing. You're just plugging in the numbers and following the order of operations. If you have to multiply with signs, make sure you keep the sign that's on the left. And from there, that's the whole skill. Let's get it done.